Hey, what's already? Welcome back to Newstos, and a rather amusing situation has popped up online today. Because the realization that Xbox can now and soon will play PlayStation games is starting to set in for, I'd say, the bigger part of the community. But even still, there is a thought process going around that Sony will just somehow magically stop this, or that this is only a technicality, and I'm going to get into all of that today. Of course, we have plenty of other things to talk about as well, but first, I do want to thank my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Thank you just so much for what you do, and I truly do appreciate each and every one of you. Let's go and get right into things, though, starting off with Yooka Replaylee. A lot of people missed this because, really, there's just been a lot of news flying around with all of these different showcases and also the Switch 2 launch. Really, I don't think that they could have picked a worse time here, but Playtonic just launched a PC demo for Yooka Replaylee. Now, unfortunately, it's not out on console just yet. They said that that's going to come later, but this is a remake, and I'm hearing it's actually really good. It seems much more in line with what fans originally wanted from a Banjo-Kazooie spiritual successor. Now, admittedly, I have not played the demo myself. I might check it out on the Steam Deck eventually. Really, right now, I'm just trying to enjoy the Switch 2, but I watched some footage online, and if I'm remembering things correctly, I believe the remake even includes some extra sections that wasn't in the original. The intro, as an example, I don't remember being there. Now, correct me if I'm wrong about all of that, but of course, it has plenty of quality of life improvements as well, and I'm actually really excited to pick this one up when it eventually releases. I supported it on Kickstarter years ago, and even though it didn't live up to expectations for a lot of people, I still enjoyed it. It has a lot of charm to it, and it's definitely the closest thing that we've ever gotten to a legitimate Banjo-Kazooie 3. Now, speaking of Banjo-Kazooie 3, we actually got a promising update for a potential new entry. Yeah, that's right. This comes from Andy Robinson over on VGC, which, you know, he has a great track record. He has sources within Rare, and he said hearing Rare's new leadership could now be massive for the chances of a new Banjo-Kazooie. Now, this is not a confirmation, but it is still a very good sign, if anything else. For years, we've heard rumors that Xbox wants to make a new Banjo. Phil Spencer has even suggested as much. But the big problem has always been the same. Who's going to develop it? Previously, Rare had no interest in another Banjo-Kazooie, so they would have had to outsource it, and there's really not a lot of studios that comes to mind that would fit Banjo. I mean, there's Toys for Bob, but I'm pretty sure they're currently doing Spyro 4, and then there's Playtonic. But of course, they're focusing on their own mascot being Yooka-Laylee. So if Rare is reconsidering, I mean, this kind of solves that problem, and I mean, honestly, I really believe that this is the perfect time for a new Banjo-Kazooie. I've talked about this before, but now that Xbox is open to the idea of multi-platform, a new Banjo, or let's say a Banjo remake, it really feels like a no-brainer. I mean, if they were to release it on the Nintendo Switch 2, I think that would make it into a massive hit. Either which way, though, this is very welcome news for us longtime Banjo fans. Now, we also got another showcase to look forward to this week. Konami just announced a 37-minute live stream for June 12th, so, you know, this is a pretty long showcase, and this is going to include some updates for Silent Hill F and Metal Gear Solid Delta. Both of these are actually near the top of my most anticipated games for 2025, so I'll be very interested to see what they show later this week, especially for Silent Hill F. I mean, I kind of know what I'm getting into when it comes to Metal Gear Solid Delta. Really, as long as its performance is good and they don't make a bunch of stupid changes, then it's pretty much a guaranteed great game. But Silent Hill F, on the other hand, this is a completely new entry, and it's set in a completely new location for the series. So I'm interested to see all of their new ideas and also its similarities with previous Silent Hill titles. I'm hoping for the best with this one, but what's really interesting about this showcase is that they also teased, quote-unquote, more. So it kind of sounds like we're going to hear about an unannounced game here as well. Now, just to kind of speculate, and I'm not saying that this will be the announcement for sure, but if we go back to the leaks from years ago, which so far, I'll point out, has been 100% correct, the rumor was that Konami is bringing back Silent Hill, Metal Gear Solid, and also Castlevania. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I'd still say keep your expectations in check. That way you don't go in and leave disappointed. But who knows? Maybe we'll get some kind of tease for a new Castlevania game. If anything else, welcome back, Konami. They're doing some fun stuff right now, which that's nice to see. Okay, so let's go talk about this Xbox story because the conversation around this topic has been wild, to say the least. Of course, Xbox and Asus just revealed their Xbox ROG Ally device, and what's happening here is that the bigger part of the game community are starting to understand that this quote-unquote Xbox device can play PlayStation games that are on Steam. So there's a couple of volatile conversations currently going around. One is that PlayStation is going to somehow magically block these type of Xbox devices. Well, GameFile asked Microsoft about this, and check out what they said. When I asked Microsoft if that means that PlayStation's recent God of War games, which have been released on PC, could run on these new Xbox-branded devices, a device with a big Xbox button and a logo on it, a rep replied, because these handhelds run Windows, you have access to all the games that you can play on Windows PCs. And that right there is what I've been saying for a better part of a year now. I don't know where people are getting this idea that Sony would be able to block these Xbox-branded Windows devices from playing their games on a PC storefront that they don't even own. I can't imagine that Valve, that's the company that owns Steam, I can't imagine that they, out of all companies, would sign off on blocking specific devices just because of one single publisher. I mean, it might feel a little weird at first to see PlayStation games on a Xbox-branded console, but I just don't see how Sony would go about something like this unless they, simply just stop releasing their games onto PC, which I don't think that that's a realistic outcome here. Sony has found success on PC, and they need that extra money because modern AAA games are ridiculously expensive to make. There's a reason that they're investing into the PC platform. And I don't think that these new Xbox PC devices are going to change that. Now, that's the other part to this conversation, though. There are certain people out there that have chosen to believe that these devices are not Xbox devices. And okay, technically, it's not the same thing as the Xbox Series. I think we all know that. The ROG Xbox Ally is being sold as an Xbox device, but it is still a PC in disguise. Even still, as I've said before, this is the first glimpse as to what's next. From everything that we know, Xbox's next console will unify their Xbox console experience with PC. It's going to be a combination of the two together. And right now, they're more or less releasing this device, this ROG Ally Xbox, as a prototype or a beta, if you will, to iron out the kinks, to better optimize it for their future console. This is just the first glimpse for what they have planned for their next first-party console, a first-ever Xbox console wrapped into a PC experience. It's going to boot directly into their new improved Xbox OS as its front end, yet it'll still be able to do everything a Windows PC can do, just as Microsoft said here, because its back end will be Windows. You'll be able to sideload other storefronts like Steam as one example. So with that in mind, it more than likely, yes, we'll be able to play PlayStation games that are on Steam. But I think the biggest mystery right now isn't so much about this conversation, but rather just how are they going to handle the compatibility layer with their current Xbox consoles? I mean, there still are some major questions, including with your current Xbox library. Will Xbox 360 and OG Xbox games, as one such example, carry over? Because currently, those games aren't compatible on PC. They're not compatible on Windows. So it'll be very interesting to see how they handle that. So there are still some questions, but yeah, if this really is a console PC device, then yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to see PlayStation games on the next Xbox. Okay, now one more thing before we go. There's one more piece of next generation news for Xbox because I think the writing is kind of on the wall by this point. Their next console will more than likely be all digital. Now, maybe they might have some kind of disk drive add-on similar to what Sony does with the PlayStation 5. I'm not banking on that, but it would be a good way to handle backwards compatibility for people who do have a physical library. However, there's two reasons to believe that their next console will be all digital. The first of which is that they already put very little effort into physical games. If you look at a lot of their recent releases, they're either digital only, like in cases like Hellblade 2 or South of Midnight, or if they do have physical versions, they don't even attempt to put the data on disc. You know, games like Indiana Jones and Doom the Dark Ages as two such examples. Then reason number 2, they recently dropped multiple physical pre-orders, and what's really strange about this is that the Xbox versions are seemingly digital codes in a box. This includes both Ninja Gaiden 4 and The Outer Worlds 2. Now, interestingly, the PlayStation 5 versions do seem to include discs, though in their case, The Outer Worlds 2 requires an internet connection. So that kind of makes it seem like it'll be a game keycard situation. So, I mean, with all that information, I just kind of feel like all the signs are there. There's a good chance that they are going all digital going forward. Now, I will say, though, I think for Xbox, it does kind of make sense for them. I mean, I don't like it personally. You all know that I do prefer physical games. But the reality is that the Xbox user base does prefer digital. I mean, some of that might be because of Game Pass. A lot of fans are playing their games through Game Pass now. But even before that, Xbox fans have always really leaned towards digital more than the other two console user bases. Plus, on top of that, the next Xbox will be a PC in disguise, and, well, I mean, as we all know, PC is pretty much all digital anyway, so, yeah, I think it's more likely than not that the next Xbox will be a digital-only console, but let me know what you all think about this. Does that bother you or not? Anyways, though, that's going to be for this episode, but until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.